Check.
I can hear you, Stonks.
All right. I was in the wrong browser at first.
Are we on? I can't tell. Can you guys tell?
Let's go to YouTube and see.
Looks like we're live. Good morning and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Live. We're live. Today is November 6th, 2023. How we doing, fellas?
We good. I'm awake.
Awake. How about you, Sonny? How you doing, man?
I'm awake. I'm hyper. Let's go.
Let's go. And we are broadcasting, correct?
I hope so.
I hope so too. Maybe somebody would tell us if we weren't. I'm sure. or not. I'm not real sure either way. However,
it is live now. I can see it. Yep.
All right. So we're talking about the talk. So last week coming in this week, Bulls took control of the reins and absolutely blitzed it. We've been pitter-pattering overnight and into the morning. Really not being all that decisive, but definitely playing on the upside of the chart. This week, we do have data, we do have information, we do have Fed speakers, we do have all those things that can move the market left, right, sideways. But most importantly, we have to acknowledge that flow did improve substantially from post Yellen to post Powell to where we are here and now. It seems like this morning they were handing out upgrades left, right, and sideways to anybody and everybody. It's like you get an upgrade, you get an upgrade, everybody gets an upgrade. That was the overall theme. I think the biggest thing for me is being patient with this move and allowing it to consolidate out a little bit. I think that's going to be the name of the game for the week. They can absolutely just put the boot on the throat of the neck of bear and blitz it to the upside. That would be my preferred outcome. But this kind of seems set up, if you're looking at last night's action into today, kind of like maybe a little wibble wobble, kind of like a whole bunch of nothing here and there. Son, you got anything particular you want to roll out and talk about this morning?
I think the big news was that I find curious was South Korea banning short selling till June 2024. And that moved the market up quite a bit. So I'm going to be watching some of the Korean names that are traded here. And on the ES side, so 43.83 is going to be a critical level that we need to consolidate and move above. I'm sure Stonks will cover it in more detail. But that's a level I'm watching on ES. Definitely, like you said, I'm going to let this settle down. There was a lot of talk over the weekend, hey, Black Monday this, and hey, we're going to keep going up and all that nonsense on Twitter. So just like you, I'm just going to let it wait. We got like one Fed talker today, no other data coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So patience is the key.
Yeah.
Definitely, like we've made such a move, you don't want to like size up or, like keep saying risk management. It's not just about stop losses, right? It's about your position sizing and things like that. So just because we moved up, don't oversize, don't be overconfident, let it settle, don't fuck yourself up, So,
yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is don't mess it up. It's like we can chop in this range, even if it can give a lot of range, but we can just sit here and chop and really not move anywhere, while at the same time check levels, both to the upside and downside as we kind of wibble wobble and come to the conclusion of where we ultimately need to be. Earnings were, what would you say earnings were this cycle?
I would say a mixed bag. The ones who are not putting a higher guidance going forward are getting punished regardless if they beat this quarter or not. I mean, this past quarter is done with, right? Everybody's looking forward to the next one. How are they gonna put themselves in position for the next one? It's it's like race car driver, right? This turn's already done. You're already looking at the next one.
Yeah.
So a lot of those has been done with. Okay, everybody's looking at their guidance, and the oldest trick in the book, guide down and then say, hey, we did better. And a lot of companies did that, right?
Yep.
Everybody had guided down, a lot of them actually, and then they just said, oh yeah, we did so much more. But no one's, they're not taking into consideration like, okay, the prices have jacked up, so
Yeah.
obviously you're going to do better.
Yeah, and I think Apple in particular kind of did that
Yeah.
for the following quarter, but that didn't keep it from being bought, right?
Yeah.
It's like
There are a lot
they
of
did,
headlines around it.
yeah. No, they did come in and buy, and we'll see if they can continue to come in and buy. It's like we do have some Apple dark pools this morning,
Yeah.
nothing massive, but we do have morning dark pools, which is always interesting.
Right.
When you see those. We do have Phantom prints also above and below um, on SPY and Q and IWM on both sides of it. So we have
Right.
that going also. Just seems like we're really set to just not do anything this week. And I could be
Yeah.
completely wrong about that, but everything about it just seems like we're just really not going to do a whole lot. Now, if I
There's
go
also
back,
a lot of talk about, Jay Powell talking on Wednesday, so maybe we just chop, today, get a little dip. Depends on what he says Wednesday, because new data came out after his speech. So let's see if he takes that into consideration before his next speech that he makes, on Wednesday. He's
Yeah,
talking at Harvard or somewhere.
I think the only thing that bothers me about the narrative with that is the fact that they basically everybody wants to come out and say that he came out dovish, which I don't believe that he did. He just wasn't as hawkish.
Right.
It's like I think there's a big misperception there. But I think the reality still sits at they can't raise rates anymore unless you get some type of massive uptick in inflation. You just can't, as far as the
Right.
damage that's going to cascade down. And I think that was decided. I think that has been decided. So now it's just a matter of positioning. And positioning means being prepared for volatility that can take you from looking really smart to really stupid really fast. The market has a tendency to do that. So while everybody's been packing it, saying, hey, ATH, it's like you kind of have to be aware if we start getting flow that maybe we don't get there as fast as.
Yeah,
as
it's not a straight line up.
It's not a straight line up, especially after that move last week. I think there's still some gaps sitting down there that
Yeah.
maybe it wants to play with, maybe not. We've gone extended period of times, the gaps being left wide open.
Yeah. No, SPX definitely, we have like 3 big gaps to the downside.
Yeah.
I posted them. Again, talking about, we may, go up, but there may be a dip. So don't position yourself incorrectly to get bought, basically.
Yeah. Just be aware, man. It's like if you like killed it last week, don't let that confidence of killing it last week spill into where you start giving it back. Just understand that last week was one of those. We get about 4 or 5 of those a year. Those moments in time to where things just roll like that, and then we get some chop. We get some, which way do we go type activity, and I expect this week to be that week. I think the NVIDIA ER coming up is going to be a big one. I think it's going to be massive for the market as far as how they report and how they guide. So that's really the next one that we're looking for, isn't it? Anyone?
Yeah, that'll be
A lot
big
of
one.
positioning around that.
I'm reading the room, and the room is saying they can hear us on YouTube, but not on Discord.
Yeah, well, it's going to happen until Bender's back, until I figure out what the extra button is. All right, man. So, Sonny, you have anything you want to walk through, or are we going to spin it to the stonk?
I have some news items I can go over.
All right.
I just sent you a screenshot, so you might want to unmute that Roadhouse live button.
Unmute the Roadhouse live button. Boom. Okay. There.
All right, let's see. Yep. Let's see if they can hear us now. Okay. Yeah, it's working. Okay. Yeah, it's been working on YouTube. So good. All right. So I already covered the South Korean news about the short selling. So studios are talking about trying to end the actor strike, offering them a higher compensations and AI protections. Yellen is supposed to meet her counterpart this week before Biden and Xi talks. I think they are the week after or so. I don't have an exact date. Musk released his AI bot, so it's going to be integrated into X, as well as it's going to be available as a standalone app. So I would looking into Chat GPT. We had some bullish flow into it, so definitely keep an eye on that. China's Singles Day is on November 10th, so after that, Baba, JD, etc. will put out the number, the sale number. It's one of the biggest holidays or shopping days. It's like our Black Friday in China, and that kind of ties in with we've had flow into KWeb, Azure, FXI, longer dated one. So this could definitely play into that. Tesla came out with the news that they're gonna maybe making in Germany they're gonna make a 25,000 euro car. They're looking into it. Hasn't been confirmed by Tesla, but Reuters put that out. So it got a nice little pump and pretty much sold it all off this morning. Google is facing a second antitrust trial. It's regarding the app stores. So Google and Apple can get some headline news on that. Watch for that. Citigroup is expected to lay off about 10% of their workforce in the major businesses. This is based on the CEO's roadmap for reorganization, making the bank a little bit more efficient, cutting the extra meat at the top. Saudi Arabia and Russia are expected to keep the production cuts through end of December. They confirmed it again this morning. So oil got a little spike. It's spiking up again. Definitely something. I know Stonk's been playing it. A couple other people in Roadhouse play it, so it'll be good to watch. Costco. So they're going to report their monthly numbers today. Usually gets a nice move based on that. AI has their Dev Day starting in San Francisco today. A lot of attendees. They're going to talk about the new tools, the potential, new partnerships, things like that. And another data that's going to come out, the Federal Reserve Senior Loan Officer Opinion Survey will be released today. This is basically talking about the lending conditions across 60 large domestic banks and 24 branches agencies of foreign banks. So once that comes out, I mean, we've seen spike. Lately it's been you don't know which data point they're going to use to move us up. So once that comes out, if I hear it, I'll post it. I know Total Trading does an awesome job of getting the news out pretty quick. So watch for those. Upgrade side, just a couple big ones I want to mention. Starbucks, Square, Block got nice upgrades. On the downgrades, BLMN, FTNT, Para, Sedge, SGML are on the downgrades. The dark pool data is posted in my room, so take a look. I did the summary of it. That's about it.
Very nice. Thanks, Sonny. Anything in particular that you're going to be looking at? I just saw this big old dark pool that came in this morning on that India ETF.
So India has been getting a lot of positive news. The market's been moving up nicely. There has been, for the past, I would say about a week or so, a lot of positive news coming out of that. So yeah, I have never played it. But if some do, definitely.
I think that might be a lot like EEM, to where it'll move with the market, but it's the gaps coming into each day that kind of make the difference in how it kind of plays out.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right. Very good. All right, man. Stonks, what you got, buddy?
Man, Sonny's back. Now I can, get into the important stuff. Guinness Book of World Records, Price is Right. I don't have to do
the things that make you great. I know. Thank you for your sacrifice and picking up the slack. But yes, let's get into your greatness there, Stonk.
Yeah, let's get into the good stuff. All right, we got some, we were talking about the gaps below. So potential smash days to the downside on the SPY. You can see, again, smash day is a failed breakout, meaning we close outside the prior day's range. We look for a break. Basically, we closed above the prior day's high, so we've got an alert that will pop when we break that low from Friday. The stop would be up here at Friday's high. Same goes for Q. We'll get an alert that we break below that low, and your stop would be at Friday's high. That's the Larry Williams smash day over there on SPY and Q. So we'll get the alerts that pop here in the room. Let's get into some of these charts with the markup. We'll start over here on the ES with the daily. And so kind of a busy chart, so we'll talk through it. You know, I was kind of waiting on this big daily bull flag. We overshot it, and now we're back coming up towards the top of it. Some of these levels here, gold boxes, are going to be daily fair value gaps that we left behind on the big rip up last week. So we've got, and then the orange boxes are weekly gaps. So this was one that we closed above. If we had to come back, we'd want to see that work as support. And then we've got this orange box weekly above, as well as this hourly gap that we looked at before this ripped down, and they kind of pushed into it, but they didn't fill it. So that'll be interesting to see. We go get that. This level was a very small new week opening gap. It's a good one to have on your chart. That was from yesterday's open. And then we've got this little volume imbalance. So a couple things that, you know, we could be looking forward to the upside. For the downside here, I have this, because if this candle was to be a bearish order block, this could be a sensitive area. Actually, let's check out where the 0.5 fib on that one is real quick. So we're at it right now. So this level here could be sensitive, 43.79, kind of similar. Sunny's saying 43.83. So this whole area right in here. If we were to push to the downside here, I'd be watching this low, 43.54.50, and then we've got more targets below. If we get back into this daily fair value gap, we'd see what happens down at that 43.26. Drilling down further, you know, we've got this 4-hour gap as well. That's not looking too bad at pointing up that way. We'll see what we get. We could be kind of watching flow. We saw, you know, as Hells was kind of mentioning, bull taking some shots to the upside. So we'll see what we get, but some key levels, especially based on these longer time frame gaps. And we may want to mark that off as well, right down there, because this will be a 4-hour gap, that low to that low right there. So we'll see what we get over there on the ES. We take a look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ's been looking kind of similar here. We got the new week opening gap. We've got this order block level, if this was going to be a bearish order block on this candle here. And then we've got the daily gaps below. We had kind of done a deeper dive into this candle here last week, because if this was going to be the bearish order block, you know, our green candle, but they just sliced right through that. So now you could potentially be looking for a pullback into this area to work as a breaker block, Mr. T style, meaning, you know, we could bounce from here on the NASDAQ. So we'll see what we get over there. And then similarly, we've got this 4-hour gap here below. We'll see if that comes into play. Kind of thinking, you know, maybe pullbacks would be bought. You know, it's like we got through some of the big ERs, we got through the rate decision. So it's like, you know, I could see red candles, but I'll kind of be in buy the dip mode, see what we get over there. So, and I'll be calling these kind of targets over here. Some of the other setups I'm going to be watching for this week. Microsoft, mentioned this one, a little hungover, jumped in at the end of the day on Friday, but I like this setup going into this week. So we've got fibs drawn from this high to this low on the daily range. And you can see we ran right up into the 786 retracement and stalled on Microsoft on Friday. Also potentially working on this wedge. So I'm going to be kind of watching Microsoft pretty closely, see what we get over there. Let's see. We could take a look at the dollar. Careful look. Kind of a busy chart here, but so what we're looking at here is we had a bull flag on the daily that popped, failed the retest. Now we're back inside. This orange box is, I believe, that this monthly gap here that we're now trading down into. That was this candle's high to this candle's low over here. So this could be a draw. So we could see some weakness in the dollar continuing through this week. If this, you know, whether this trend line gives out, or maybe we pop and, you know, we could follow this trend line down to somewhere where we fill this weekly gap potentially. So that's kind of one thing I'll be looking for over on the dollar. Obviously, the macro environment will be key. Let's see. what else? There's more charts we can look at, but some of the stuff I'll just be calling live.
I think the dollar is a really interesting one because it's like I question whether or not the dollar is going to come into play as far as working the market, being a market indicator moving forward. I question whether or not it's going to have any level of importance, to be honest with you. Mainly because the narrative is slowly shifting. We went from higher to longer to we are where we are, right? I think the dollar could be really interesting, and we have to remember that the market can move up with the dollar. It absolutely can. So I think that's going to be a little bit interesting to keep an eye on over there on the dollar. Obviously, the lower it goes to some extent, the better it is for, if nothing else, for mega cap and multinationals, that kind of stuff. But the other stuff, as far as it being, really, really violent against the market, I really question that if that's going to be the trend moving forward, the way it has been. I think it kind of settles. And I think data is going to be what ultimately moves it one way or the other, any type of geopolitical shenanigan that may or may not be out there. Stunks, we're pretty extended to the upside here, man.
Yep.
How are you looking at that? Because I know Thursday, Friday, if there was even a half of a red candle, it was being bought. Like any type of potential level that could have been sold was bought immediately. Any type of red candle was bought. And then we got a little pullback in today, and we've had a nice little, dip and then rally back up overnight. What are your thoughts on that? Where we are with the NQ?
Yeah, let's look at that just real quick. This one was a good example of a Mr. T order block. That's a bearish order block there. You can see we traded up into it, looking at the candle body on the dollar. That's kind of where we stalled. So that was one that was like, oh, Mr. T has some stuff that's on point. Yeah, so we're overextended to the upside. I mean, I would think, maybe they want to shake things up, shake out some bull. I could see that being a thing. But I'm going to be watching. I'm kind of feeling like I'm in buy the dip mode. I would love to see us start out with some scary, oh, we're going back down, and then give us an opportunity. Maybe we've got this red level that's going to be a key level. Maybe we can get back to here, which would be what, like a 30 point sell off to kind of shake people out a little bit, make it look a little scary here at the open. And then if we had to keep going down further, we've got room to fill in this gap. But I'm kind of, my mindset going into this is kind of, shake out some bull and buy the dip. That's kind of what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking the same thing in a lot of ways. And you said 30 down. I can totally see that easily from here. Easily.
Yeah, 30 down would just be the low of this candle's body, which, trading up into this originally would say, okay, this is a bearish order block, a green candle where a bear wanted to get in cheaper before a big sell. So that's kind of where this would be a sensitive area there.
So I think for me, and looking at it, this 15150 in there, 15160, then a little 10-point spread in there, which is about 40 from here, could be a really, really interesting level to try to play scoop, because that's basically taking the trend line on the hourly that we would come down to test and then potentially fire off of that. That area in there could be, 50 down would be glorious in a lot of ways. 40 to 50 down. So yeah, cool. We're kind of looking at the same thing, same areas. That works for me. And on the NQ, 40 might as well be 50. It really.
Yeah. 10 points can be like a nothing drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
Let's see. There was a couple other things that were kind of interesting coming into this week. Some of these China tickers. This looks like a double bottom here. We got double bottom. We've got, and that's the K web. We've got the C web, 2x bull, double bottom maybe, and we've got the FXI. what we had a headline maybe like a week and a half ago. China's going to pump in additional liquidity. So if they get something like that going on again, it's like I'm gonna be kind of closely watching for flow in some of this stuff.
So there's a couple of meetings coming up, Stonks, between
Hmm.
Yellen and her counterpart this week, and Biden and Xi next week or the week after. So there's a lot of. So there's also the trade meeting starting this week, I think, in South Asia. A lot of South Asian countries come. China is a big part of it. So definitely partnerships, headlines can come out of it. And the China Singles Day, the biggest holiday, is on the 10th.
Nice. So yeah, I'm gonna be closely watching. Let's see if we get flow on any of this. That's what I'm gonna be watching for. And it's like, taking a look at this chart because we're over there in China land. You can easily quickly see all these gaps, but it's like if you are following a good line of flow and you catch the right side of one of these gaps, you could be on the wrong side too, but if you are correct, you bought a call and then you wake up the next day, I think if we would use flow as a direction and we kind of keep those meetings and the macro in mind, I think there could be a nice trade setting up over there on
Mm-hmm.
China. And if you're buying the FXI or the K Web, it's like you can find like a 30-cent option that can make a nice move. So I want to see what we get over there.
Sounds good. All right, guys, we got anything else?
No, that's all from me.
No? All right. A couple of things that are kind of floating around out in the world right now, and China was brought up. But before I kind of go into that, the big, conversation that people are kind of pushing a lot is how Buffett and Berkshire have like $1 quadrillion in cash sitting on the sideline. Where that goes, what to do with it, whether or not they play it out. But there's a lot of conversation about all that money sitting on the sideline over there as far as Buffett and Berkshire. The other thing is that more and more data comes out, and you brought up China. There's a lot of weakness in the Chinese consumers. So unless we get some type of real stem coming out of them, I think it's going to be difficult for that thing to get cooking to the upside. They're going to need something that they believe in, because it's not just Western businesses wanting to do business there. It's the actual Chinese consumer that's really struggling. There's a lot of stuff starting to filter out how they're just pulling back and slowing down. They just can't afford it. Interesting, right? In a lot of ways. So that's all I got. This time change is killing me. I can't stand it. And so I am about as slow gets. You boys have anything else you want to share?
That's all for me.
All right. Let's have a good day. We have about 11 minutes until open, 11 minutes until open. Let's be smart. Let's be sharp. Let's be patient. And let's hit it when it's time. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks, everyone.